Hey, what's going on guys? It's me, Aiden from Cartoon Apocalypse, and today I'm making a video on an analysis on Pati. And I'm just gonna say right now guys, this episode was a complete filler. This episode was just like one of my least favorite episodes in the show, and it's just like, wow. Or at least in season 3. But if you guys have not seen Pati or Tough Love, then go ahead and go watch them because they came out today, and spoilers. So yeah, let's get into this analysis. Guys, this episode was so like, we did not need this episode, and there's a lot of things that point to it just being a complete filler. Pretty much, if you guys want the description of it, hey, Ponyhead's watching her favorite Korean drama, and then Star and her Ponyhead friends or Ponyhead sisters try to save her or something. You know what? It pains me to even make this analysis. I was like contemplating whether or not to even make this video, but you know what? I was like, I guess I gotta now. But I mean, pretty much the thing that we didn't learn from the promo, I mean, pretty much the promo explained it all except for the very end and some of the stuff in the middle. But pretty much Ponyhead falls out the window and meets up with her old ex, which was the Seahorse from Electrocorp, and then he's driving her away, while Star and the other Ponyheads are following them. And then the Seahorse just kind of throws some stuff and tries to lose them, and then shows off this 3D printer, which I thought was cool, right? And then Ponyhead was being duplicated as in 3D printer form. And then, seriously guys, this episode is just so boring. And it's like, alright, but at the very end is the most interesting part, and I think is the only reason why they actually made this episode. And that part is when Ponyhead gets her fake 3D printed horn that her ex, or the Seahorse guy, gave to her. And boom, now she has a horn back, and it functions just like her old horn did. So guys, guess what? No point for this episode at all, because she just got reset back to the way she was. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, Star says that Ponyhead can't fly at the beginning of the episode, and Ponyhead ended up being able to, and I guess she learned from her show that like she doesn't have to be this way without her horn. She could just do it by herself, and she was able to fly because she believed, I guess. But you guys want to know something funny? So here's a point that proves why this episode, like, they literally had no content for this episode. They had to literally waste time to get this episode to the right amount of length. So in the scene where Star jumps out the window to jump on Cloudy, it just takes like forever. It takes like, I don't know, 5 seconds or 20 seconds, not that long, but it takes a while. And the reason for that is literally because they needed to get the episode to be longer, because this episode was just the worst filler. It had the Ponyheads, one of the people's least favorite characters in the entire show, along with just a complete filler episode. Maybe if this had a little bit more plot content, then maybe we'd be a little bit more interested. But no, this episode was just the worst. Like, oh my gosh. Guys, you guys know that we don't like to see Ponyhead episodes, right? People just are not interested in Ponyhead, alright? And in my promo analysis, I was like, hey, you know what? We'll get to learn about Ponyhead and what's going on with her. But seriously, this is the worst way, because pretty much she was just watching her episode of her Korean drama, and it was just like half of the episode was of that. And some people have said, I can't remember exactly what YouTuber it was, but people have said like, hey, maybe the show has something to say, or maybe it leads to something in the future. And it could possibly, but I just couldn't find anything that relates to it, because pretty much, oh hey, a famous singer has like a funny bone or something that's corrupted or something, and then she thinks that it's a vampire, and the vampire didn't actually do it, and it was just her own mind saying that she couldn't do it or couldn't sing anymore. And then she was just like, the vampire came in and he was like, hey, I didn't even meet you. And then she was like, oh really? And then the vampire was like, yeah, you can do it. And then the singer was like, oh yeah, and goes up and sings. And it was just like, yeah, maybe I'm missing something, but I can't see. I mean, it kind of describes this episode, because Ponyhead's just down and thinks that she can't do anything without her horn, and then she does end up doing stuff without her horn because she can. And so, yeah, I guess that explains in the promo that we saw yesterday about why Ponyhead has her horn back. And I mean, I had expected to learn why she had her horn back in this episode, because what other episode would we have seen it in? And that's like the biggest thing in the episode. Hey, Ponyhead got her horn back, and there was no reason for her to lose her horn in the first place, and she's back to her cocky old self. So, yeah, that's... jeez, this episode, guys. I'm so sorry for... I can't believe I even made an analysis on this. Oh my gosh. But there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about this before I just like stop hating on this episode. Oh, also, Bami Pati like stands for Party of the Night in Korean, I guess. I'm not exactly too sure. That could be the name. I'm not too sure. I'd have to like look it up on Google Translate, but I'm just gonna assume from the subtitles on this episode that were put on automatically that it does mean Party of the Night. So that clears up the question, and it didn't have anything to do with Eclipse's monster husband. But there is one thing, I mean, I said this before, but the one thing that I wanted to mention was how Star's dealing with from the last episode, because we do know that this episode pretty much cuts right directly after Booth Buddies. And we could tell by Star's tone of voice a little bit that she is just like a little bit still freaked out, but moving through it, especially since Marco isn't there, and I think her motives is Ponyhead, and that's just moving her forward. And also, she was like, you know what, to the other ponies, she was like, hey, you know what, I feel like you should just be supportive, pretty much, that's what she said. And I was like, hey, you know what if that's what people just need to be to Star right now, because she's been, like, traumatized, you could say, with Marco. I wouldn't say that, but you could say that, I guess. And it was like, hey, you know what, maybe people just need to support Star. And she's like kind of confused, and at the end of Booth Buddies we see her and she's just like terrified or like blown away, so we don't exactly know. And also I feel like her head and her heart disagree. Her heart says Marco and her head says Tom, and just like what she said on the Truth or Punishment episode, or the sleepover episode. So yes, I think that Star is dealing with this decently well, and I feel like she's moving along with it. And I feel like she might start to come to realize that Marco is the one. And we'll have to see that later in the episodes next week. But yeah, that's going to wrap up today's video. I dragged it out to almost 10 minutes, or through the editing it'll probably be like 6 or 7 minutes maybe. I'm not too sure. But that's going to wrap today's video, and I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.
I feel you, girl.